Welcome to Archery Talk 101 podcast, your guide to better archery skills. We'll bring you the latest tips, tricks, and expert advice, but that's not all. We'll also have interviews with top archers and industry professionals and reviews of the latest gear and equipment and much more. Let's start recording. Hey, what is Texton Outdoors? Well, we're going to find out today. Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'll be hosting on Archery Talk 101. And we have Justin on the line with us here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, how he got started in archery, and a little bit about his business. And we're just going to learn a whole lot today. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Hey, how's it going, man? I'm doing good. Well, I've been hunting, I guess, for quite a while now with my bow. I started back probably 2007, whenever I was a senior. I bought my first bow myself back then it was a Pearson Quad 440. It's kind of funny. I bought it at school, so technically it's not a firearm, but we brought I guess it's still considered a weapon. And so we bought it there. I bought it in the parking lot, and we thought we were like big and bad and stuff like that, of course, but anyways, it took me a little while to get used to what I was doing. I used to shoot just traditional whenever I was younger with my grandpa. And it was years later. I did some shooting whenever I was in scouts and everything like that. And I got my archery merit badge and all that stuff. But I kind of dropped the bow down for a while and never really picked it back up. And that year I went out there and I was determined to try to just shoot something. And I shot a branch underneath me, and I didn't see it whenever I was drawing down, getting close to dark at a doe, and she was right underneath the stand, and I just smacked that arrow right dead center into it. And I knew right then and there that it wasn't going to be nearly as easy as what I was thinking that it was going to be right out of the gate. But I was hooked, and going forward all through college and stuff like that, I ended up eventually trading in that actually I still have the bow, come to think of it, but I got a Matthews Chill and started hunting with it, shot a few deer with it, and then kind of progressively worked my way up, and I'm back. I've been shooting Matthews for about the past 4 years now. Shot elites and also obsession in between that time frame, but there's something about these. I'm still shooting the V3. I know there's several other models that's come out since then, but it's still to this day probably one of the sweetest shooting bows I've ever had, and still holding on to it. So yeah, that's pretty much my entry into archery up to this point. And this past fall, I decided that I wanted to actually open up a outfitting business out here in Missouri. I've been thinking about this for years, and I've hunted a lot. I've killed, been very successful with a lot of different species with my bow. But as I've gotten older, and with a lot of the philanthropy work that I've done over the years in the nonprofit organization that I'm within back home in Louisiana, taking others people out and experiencing their joy and their first time experiences and experiences of a lifetime, especially with the children that we take out that have disabilities and stuff like that. With Swellfest, I've started to realize that it's so much more than just going out and hunting yourself. It's taking others out and experiencing stuff for the first time for them, or their largest deer, or whatever the accolades they may accomplish with you. And so I decided I wanted to do that. And so this Friday we'll have our first group of hunters in. I'm only taking a total of 8 archery hunters. I've had 7 out of 8 booked for this year. So they'll hunt for 5 days starting on the 28th, and then I'll have the next group come in right after that, and they'll hunt 5 days before we have our rifle season up here in Missouri. So that's what Texton Outdoors kind of is all about. And the name Texton is kind of a funny story. Um, I was working at my previous job at the time, and I was just reflecting in the middle of the night of just all the different things that were not quite, you know, kosher over there. And I just was thinking, I was like, man, it's just a tectonic disaster and mess over there. And while I was in the shower, and I was like, man, it was really hitting me that maybe this is something that I was called to do. And I was like, well, I'm gonna look up the derivative and the lineage of tectonic. And I knew what tectonic plates are and all that stuff, but I wanted to kind of know the history of that word. And that's just kind of how I am with everything. I'm always diving into, the background of so many things. And it derived from an ancient Greek word called tecton. And the first thing the analogy that it said was that tecton was often used as a word in the Bible that referred to Jesus as Jesus the tecton, or an artisan, someone that works with his hands. I was like, well, that is it. And so that's where it came from. So it came from an old Greek word, that derived from tectonic. And that's how I just thought it was a great name. Kind of fits right into everything that we're doing, some of the ideas that my business partners and stuff are going to do going forward that we can't really disclose or talk about right now. But outfitting is just part of that, one part of the aspect of the puzzle that we're working on right now. And there's a lot of other tech involved. So it's kind of a play on words, but it also has a really cool religious background to it too. So
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I'd have never thought that's what it meant. I just, it's a name, and they really have a meaning, and that's really cool that it has that specific meaning, and that really works pretty nice. Now, how'd you come up with that logo?
So I'm glad you asked. So I actually started working on the original logo back in 2014 or 2015. So I had the icon where it's the double T that I started designing back then for a company, which again I can't talk about that, but I can tell you the name. It's called Syntech. And that was part of the design element of that logo. And so I've sat on it for going on 10 years now. And so whenever the name came up, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like literally the perfect icon. So I manipulated it a little bit to where it is now. And it's really just not trying to be biased, but it's a really good design. It works really good with hats and shirts as well. So it's going over really well. I have I'm all sold out on all of our apparel just from posting a couple pictures this the other day. So that was kind of what we were hoping, that we could really build the brand. And thankfully, since I am a graphic designer, it kind of came naturally and easy for me to be able to just come up on stuff. Honestly, it's not easy, because being a graphic designer and doing your own work is probably some of the hardest stuff, because you're never finished. You're always constantly critiquing yourself.
Yeah.
And but I think finally at this point, this is one that I can feel like I'm settled, and it's a design where I'm very, very comfortable with. So, but
And it's kind of a cool design.
yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
And
Yeah,
this with text on, kind of like a forward T. It's kind of like a double T in there, and
yeah. Yep. It's pretty cool. So by itself, if you were eventually, because I've had years of doing stuff in marketing and advertising and brand awareness. Eventually, if you were to take away all that and you just see the icon, then eventually we want to train everyone where this is like the McDonald's golden arches,
right.
and they see that. So And, if it's a T within a T, and like you perceived it, Texton, it's got the double, so it's pretty cool. It really works. It's cool whenever everything just kind of all just falls together,
Yeah, it's
so.
kind of amazing how you all of a sudden, you first thing in the morning or last thing at night, these brainstorms come to you. I've had many times where I'm getting ready to go to sleep, I'm dozing off, and it's like, oh, that's what I need to do. That's the solution. you know, I've had that many times, and so I just kind of let it go. Hard part is remembered it in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes I tell you, a lot of times, those middle of the night thoughts, I try to remember to just to record them, and jot down notes if I happen to wake up and I had some sort of silly dream, but it made a lot of sense. I'm like, oh, write that down real quick, if you can remember to do it. But sometimes that's hard because you
Yeah.
fall right back asleep in the middle of typing something. But
Yeah. Start writing it out and fall asleep, and you got one key that's duplicated 1,000 times because you fell asleep with your finger on the keyboard.
exactly, exactly.
I've done that. Working on something also does. It's like, oh, what's that? Okay, I have a screen full of one letter.
Exactly. So yeah, so for the first 2 weeks here this fall, we're gonna do archery, and I'm only taking groups of 4 at a time. I'm only taking a maximum of 20 hunters the entire season. I'm not doing like an extended season where it's early season, all of October through the end of the season, and trying to pack as many hunters as I can in here. I know a lot of places that do that, and that's not a bad business model if you have enough land to do it and enough space to do it. But for us, with that, it was just starting to get my feet wet and everything like that. I decided that what I wanted to really focus on was just having very good, successful hunts, having low pressure. We have about 1,200 acres collectively now to be able to bounce people around in about 40 different sets. So I'm not a big advocate of bouncing all the time, but if we need to make some adjustments, we can. I'm a big advocate of riding the hole, because if anyone knows what's going through there consistently, it would be me. So just because they got 1 or 2 sits where they're not seeing something doesn't mean that it won't change like that. So,
Right.
but I also am big on low pressure, and with having farms that are 160 acres or larger and 7 or 8 different parcels, that allows me to be able to basically not have 2 people hunting over each other that would be essentially hunting the same deer. So we can rotate people around. People feel like they're comfortable with having the entire farm to themselves, and that's kind of what we're doing. And then I'll have 2 groups of rifle hunters that are 3-day rifle hunts. Immediately after that, our rifle season comes here on the 11th of November, and it'll run out to the 21st. We got a 10-day rifle hunt here in Missouri, and it's a whole different ball game whenever you can reach out and touch deer, and
Yeah.
thankfully the rut, for us, it runs right in the middle of tail end of where I'm going to stop taking archery hunters that first week in November, and then this first 2 weeks of November, going right before Thanksgiving, are just phenomenal. It makes a lot of bow hunters cry, that's for sure, because a lot of the deer get killed during rifle season. But we do offer both sides of the business, and then I will do a late season muzzleloader hunt with just some of my friends after Christmas this year, just to kind of test the waters. And my wife and I, we moved back to Louisiana in July, and so I don't want to be away entirely too long from my wife, and especially my 2.5-year-old son. So just trying to break it up where I'm not here all fall. And then I have actually access to a lot of really good waterfowl hunts, and we have a area that has a flooded controlled marsh that we can control. And it's about an 8 acre marsh. So it's pretty phenomenal. So we're going to test the waters out for probably 2 or 3 groups of hunters this year. I haven't even advertised that yet, just because I'm trying to make sure we get everything ready to roll for deer season. But and then we have phenomenal turkey seasons up here, really good numbers of birds. So I'll do that as well in the spring. And usually that's the second, like the last 2 weekends of April, or the last 2 weeks of April, usually into the first week of May is usually whenever we have those seasons. And then I'll, shut all this stuff down. So, yeah, so that's, and I think actually I'm looking right now, I think my buddy is trying to get in. I sent him, and he's waiting your approval.
Oh, in the group?
Yeah, he wants to join.
Okay, let me let him in here real quick. Wait for my computer to catch up.
Oh, you're good.
All right, we got 2 people wanting in.
Maybe my dad as well. Looks like he read it.
I did see, I think it was Eric, and I had to look at both of them that were getting in. But
Yep, I sent one to Eric, one to Jeff, and then one to Ron.
well, 2 people have requested, I'll let them in. So they're in the group.
Awesome. Well, the other one's Ivan. Yeah, it's my friend Ron. He's quite the character. If you've read his name, I don't. He's a very vocal friend of mine, and politics don't really apply very well on Facebook, and so he's been banned a few times because he's very outspoken, and I appreciate that aspect of him, but Facebook doesn't. So he gets really creative with his names. I don't know if you saw it or not. That may have been the one that accepted it, but the way he pronounced and wrote his name would make it sound like I'm cussing, but it's actually not a cuss word. It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I've been
puked. No. Nope. I've been fucked.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, good old Ivan. Yeah, he's probably gonna get a chuckle out of all this. That's hilarious. I can't. I don't want to say it because I don't want to sound like I'm cussing, but
yeah, well, that's it's pronounced Phud.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, you gotta get creative,
He's creative. It literally, he gets the definitely the creative name award for that one. I still chuckle. My dad and I both chuckle about that name quite often.
Yeah, I'd have seen that. I was like, okay, what foreign country is he from? But
exactly. And that's the whole point about it. Not to dive into that too deep, but he said, I know that I won't get banned if I have a name that looks like that. I was like,
yeah,
I guess you're true. That's true, so it's what makes it even funnier. So
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, all this stuff that's going on, but hey, you know what? We still got archery.
Yeah, that's very true.
They're not trying to ban it yet.
That's right. Well, I am very excited, and we'll get back into that sort of conversation. But these spots that I have this year, it has been the most difficult year for me as far as not wanting to get in a stand. And I've sat just 2 times just to scout, and that's the only purpose that I got in there for. So this is the first year in probably 10 years that I have not hunted probably 30 days by now, with the bow. I mean, usually I'm in the stand all the time and I'm doe management and all this, but we've been so busy trying to get this place set up, because not only are we going to do this stuff in the fall, but in between, maybe waterfowl, and then after all deer seasons and all seasons are over, the house will be set up as an Airbnb. So we have a lot of renovations I'm doing to the house and the shop as well, because I'm going to stay in the shop behind the house, as well as my buddy that's going to be the other guide. And so we're trying to get all that stuff done over there too. And so it's just a mountain of stuff. So I haven't even had the time to go sit. I've sat two times, one evening and one morning. But anyways, the sets that I have, that, we have lock-ons, we have blinds, elevated blinds, and we have, 20-foot, ladder stands that can be dual purpose. They got a rail if you want to be able to rifle hunt out of them too. But this property also is property that I've been wanting to try to get for about 5 years now, since I've been up here. So we finally got that, and these spots are just phenomenal. So it's literally killing me, and I'm just like, I cannot wait for these guys to come and sit in these things, because I feel like these are the best sets that I've hung in my entire life. I went in, took a lot of advice from a lot of my other buddies that are phenomenal outfitting operations all the way from here to Nebraska and Oklahoma and Texas. And, some of the best advice that I pulled from them was focus on just A+ spots, and not trying to have A, B, and C spots where you might just stick someone in there and they might have a chance of seeing something. Just focus on having just really good spots all the time. So that eliminated me from, always pulling up my, hunt stand map, and I'm pre-scouting everything before I even get out there. And I got, 15 different dots where I want to go put stuff. Now focus on trying to cut that down by 2/3, where you only have 5 really good spots depending on the size of the property. And then based upon that, in your first year of property, then you can start adding some more stuff going forward. So that's what we did. It just, unfortunately, this all sort of played out where I got all this 1,000 acres in August. So I had from August until now to develop everything. And 2-week spots, spurts at a time, going back and forth from here to Louisiana, to be able to do it. So we got everything done. Thankfully, my good friend Mike was able to really help out do all this stuff, and business partner, because it wouldn't have happened. But we got it done. And anyways, I'm super excited for this first group to come in. The red moon starts on the 28th, I believe, up here, or the 29th. So they're going to catch like 3 of the 4 days with the red moon phase here in October. We got a cold front coming in this weekend. They bring a little bit of precipitation, but it's going to really drop those temps. The deer have been kind of acting a little funny the past 2 weeks, but they're in that phase where they're transitioning out of the pre-rut, reestablishing their new, core locations for the fall. And so I'm really starting to see a lot of new deer that I haven't been seeing, but for long, it's just a matter of probably this cold front. Historically, this upcoming weekend, a lot of the biggest deer are always killed around the Halloween weekend up here. And it's also youth season this weekend. So there is some extra added pressure in the woods with the youth rifle hunters shooting and stuff like that. So that's an added benefit in my book, because I don't have any youth hunters that I'm taking. So everything else is going to flock to our quiet spots. So
yeah.
It's going to be, it's shaping up to be a great season. We're super excited. I'd like to have met all of my numbers. We're booked out with rifle. We're missing one spot with archery. May have someone that come in and possibly come in last minute, but we'll just see, play it by ear for that next week. But can't really ask much more to be able to be practically booked up in your first year. So
yeah.
so it's been exciting. You know, I guess one of the things for anyone that's a guide, and in particular, I guess those that are doing it for year one, you know, when you're getting to much new ground, especially a lot of stuff that's row crop ground that's in corn, you could easily get discouraged by what deer you have on your property, because these deer just live in the cornfields, especially if they have any sort of areas that hold water from the pivots and stuff like that, which almost all my properties did. So during the summertime, it's hard to get a good buck inventory and to be able to advertise in your first year, to be able to get, you know, people booked up, because you don't know exactly what you have to offer, other than the fact that you know that it's good ground, and you've seen what's historically been killed in those areas. But that's what I guess my advice is, that, you know, if you have ground, or if you're getting ground and stuff like that, don't necessarily get discouraged by the fact that you're not seeing a lot of stuff during the summer in cornfields, because those jokers a lot of times just live in there. You're going to get your pictures on the edges of cornfields if they're popping out in between the corn and going into the timber during the summer times, or waterways or anything like that. But it's very easy, you know, to get discouraged, you know, but just have the faith, because as soon as it gets cut, you'll start seeing a heck of a lot more. So that's a whole different ball game if you have soybeans, because soybeans fields, you know, you can watch what it's out there, and you can glass the entire time, but you know, even, you know, there's at no point, unless the soybeans are 4 feet tall and you just can't see the deer, you're going to get a good idea of what you have on that farm, on those types of properties. And I have, you know, both farms that have that. I still have standing soybeans right now on a few other farms too. So and they'll be rotated into winter wheat whenever those properties are harvested. And the cornfields have just been disked and prepared and stuff like that for next season, but they're not planting anything. Got a lot of volunteer corn this year, so a lot of those corn that didn't make it and harvested has all started to sprout up. So it just looks like a big lush green field out there that's, you know, maybe 6-7 inches tall. So they're eating all that lush brand new growth right now too. So we'll have a lot to look at, that's for sure.
Yeah, there is. So if anybody's interested in it, how would they get a hold of you?
The easiest thing to do would just be to either message me personally on Facebook, Justin Hood, or Texton Outdoors, and just shoot us a message. You could call me or text me at 225-485-7414. And that would probably be the easiest, you know, ways to reach out directly. I guess I wouldn't say probably 90% of my bookings have been through Facebook so far this year.
That's
just people messaging, and thankfully I haven't had to spend any advertising dollars. So just doing posts and being smart about the post, and not saying hunting or going shoot animals or anything like that, and saying taking pictures and being slick about how you make the post. It doesn't get flagged, and it can get shared pretty easily on Facebook. So there's tricks of the trade.
You never know what they're going to flag. I was looking at a post, says, "What's your favorite car?" And I said 69 Z28 Camaro. It got flagged as inappropriate. Like, what? Just because I put 1969. They flagged it. You know, they picked up. Like, it would happen to be, you know, 1969 Z20 Camaro, which is what I drove in high school.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, hey, that was a great car. A pretty hot car, especially after we built the engine. You have a website?
No, actually, I haven't even had a chance to build the website, because I had to throw all this all together since August. So I have the Facebook page, and that will be sufficient for right now. I bought all of the stuff to do the website. I just haven't had a chance to build it myself. I'll be doing all that too. That's something else that I don't advertise, but I do websites on occasion. If the right person contacts me and I'm available. So
Yeah, I've got archtalk101 .com, and I built that one, of course, WordPress, and then I post stuff out there and I put links out there, and I don't keep up with as much as I should, but I've got podcasts I'm recording, YouTube channel I'm
sure.
feeding videos to, and here about a month ago I got a job offer that I couldn't probably turn down. So I was like, okay, that took about 10 hours 5 days a week out of my schedule. And so hey,
Is that what
gotta
you're
keep busy.
is that what you're doing mostly afternoon, evening stuff now? Because I remember whenever I talked to you last time, we did a morning, and whenever
Right.
I was looking at the calendar, I was like, something's changed. Either he's doing a lot of these things or something else that he's doing during the day. So
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, so that happened during the day, so I can't do mornings anymore, and I got evenings. So, roughly from 5 to 6 is a good time frame, and right now I've got we got a truck that my wife bought, and now we're going through and fixing it all up. It's supposed to be just brakes. We knew it was just brakes. So, rotors, pads, calipers, because one was grinding all down, and the shoes and drums to the back. No, that was just the start of it.
Oh,
you know,
yeah. When it rains, it pours, huh?
yeah. Well, and then the ball joints, upper and lower, and on one lower one, it was completely cracked. So both those had to get replaced, and they're riveted in. And then we had on the tie rod ends, those I could just move those. So okay, replacing those. And then we had on the sway bar that's up there, one side was shot, the other side wasn't even connected. And then we got to pull the shocks off because we had to replace the lower control arm because it was cheaper than buying the whole thing. Couldn't do the upper one, so we had to take them off. So we got all this stuff off, changing shocks. Yeah, we've spent more on repairs than we did on it, but we got it for a good price. So we're going to spend about what it's worth
Oh yeah, yeah.
by the
Never
time you get
fails.
done. But that's why my weekends are full, because I got to get it going. And they're talking about snow Sunday. I don't know if down in
Where you
Missouri,
guys out of again?
Nebraska.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Where about in Nebraska?
Ithaca, in between Omaha and Lincoln,
Okay, okay.
just straight north of Kansas City, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, I know where you're at. I usually drive right through you whenever I head over to my buddy's place in Burwell. So I
Oh
usually
yeah,
come that way and then I'll cut across a little ways past that and then cut over to go to Burwell.
yeah. I'm right off Highway 66,
Okay, okay.
just a
Very
little
cool.
bit east of 77.
So
It goes
I'm
north
an
and
hour
south.
and 45 minutes south of Kansas City. So
Oh, okay. So you're
yeah.
about 3 hours from here.
Yep, not very far at all. That's crazy. I didn't realize
No,
we were close. That's cool.
yeah, we're close, but
So
even
do you
closer by use the internet.
yeah, that's right. So you guys I wouldn't say you guys, I don't know what you guys have. I know over towards towards Burwell, they have Miriam's over there, but they're
Yeah,
more of a hybrid. Do you guys even get that strand over there, or do you guys mainly do you have Easterns or do you have more Rios? Because I know it kind of shifts kind of when you're getting up towards those areas.
yeah. I'm not too much on turkey hunting, of which brands we got. Um, I should be, because I got a flock of about 3 dozen that hangs out less than a mile away from me.
Well, if you ever get bored and you don't, you need someone to take care of those, I can help you out there. So,
Yeah, I've been out turkey hunting a few times, but most a lot of times, in the fall, coincides with deer hunting, and I'd rather sit in a deer stand and go after deer instead of trying to go after them crazy turkeys.
well, yeah, I mean, if I have a big bird that comes by and I'm hunting with my bow, you know, during during deer season, uh, I did it last year. It was the first time I ever shot one in the fall with a bow, and that was pretty cool. But it's an entirely different experience because you're not calling them in. Basically, you just got to kind of get lucky or know where they're coming off the roost and they're, feeding their way or just making
Yeah.
their route towards you. But springtime's a whole different ballgame whenever they're just firing off and you're chasing them and, they're calling,
Oh,
you're decoying
oh
in.
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I still prefer chasing whitetail this time of the year. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of buddies asking me how on earth am I doing this with some of the deer that I have that are on camera this year and not wanting to go hunt. And they're like, are you gonna go hunt while they're here? I'm like, I can't. Like I would love to, but I want them to have the opportunity at those animals. And so for me to go and whack one, you know, on a different property that they weren't hunting or before the other hunters come and everything like that, it wouldn't look good. And, I mean, it's just not a good business plan. So I have designated spots for me to hunt that they know that, these would be my spots, my personal spots. If I like them enough or they're in a desperate situation, I'll let them go hunt the deer that I have kind of in properties I've set aside for myself. But if I go whack a deer and it just happens to be bigger than theirs, it's a private proper spot for me to guide, to go
Yeah.
hunt. All the best spots are saved for them, but it's kind of silly. One of the I can't show the pictures of them, and I'm not going to talk much about it, but I had a very big deer that came on camera last night right behind the house. I'm like, well, it's just it's behind the house. It's going to be kind of it's my place. So if I decide I want to go hunt it, maybe I'll go hunt it after season's out. Or not seasons out, but after hunters are out, so that way
Right.
I give them a fair chance of trying to get on that deer. But that's how I have to kind of I guess handle things.
Yeah. If you've got, like 400s, 500s out there, however many you have out there, and then you go out and hunt and you bring back bigger one and any of them even seen. It's like, I'm paying you to hunt and yet you're getting bigger deer than I even seen. And then
Yeah,
that doesn't look good, where
that's why I tell them about it. It's like it does not look good, and that's a great way to not get repeat customers. And you'll have some groups that just want you to hunt with them and have fun, but at the same time, it's just like, man, I want to, but what if I'm in the middle of a hunt and I got a giant that's coming in and you're calling me and you need some help? What do you do then? Well, of
right.
course, I need to go help them. They got first priority. So, and then I may spook that deer and not get an opportunity to hunt that one or have someone else go hunt it. So, my thought process was that, when I don't have anyone in camp, then I can maybe go and do something like that on a
Right.
property that if someone hasn't been seeing a picture of a deer that they've been sleepless nights counting down the days to try to go hunt that one deer that they see on camera. And I'm careful about how much I share because I don't want people to get fixated on one animal. This is all low fence. So it's good to know what's in the area, but don't expect that you're going to have that one deer because none of them are tied up, so you never
No.
know. You may have a bigger deer that comes through that I never had on camera because you just don't know what the rut's going to do, and it's like that every year. And so I have to try to be careful as far as sending too much because some of these guys, they want to see stuff like every single day. And I'm like, man, I know you're excited, but at the same time, I got to be careful because I don't want one deer fixated and then they want to try to hunt that one deer and favoritism and all that stuff, might set in within the camp. So it's just one of those things we're going to focus on what we're seeing at the time on camera and what the wind is doing and then go from there. So that's kind
Yeah.
of how we're going to handle it. I think it's the fairest way too.
Yeah. And that I don't care, I go out hunt does, if a
Yep.
buck comes by, I'll shoot it. If not, I'm out there to get the meat, so I don't care, if it's a buck or a doe. If it's a big buck comes by, I'm not going to pass it up as long as I have the tag for it. But,
Sure.
I'm out there to get food,
Absolutely.
and the
Yeah.
does taste better than the bucks anyway. So
They always do. That's why I always told my buddy, my best friend back home in Louisiana. I'm like, "Dude, I'm not gonna like shame you for shooting a small deer because that's not the type of person I am." But at the same time, his argument with everyone else that's doing that is that, well, I'm just trying to put meat on the table. I'm like, just shoot you a damn doe. You're like,
right.
it tastes better anyways, So
Yeah, they do. And I know when I take a new hunter out, I know when I took my daughter out, it was during rifle season because she couldn't pull back a bow enough to kill a deer, unless it was a crossbow. And I told her, okay, the first deer that comes by, go ahead and shoot it. I don't care what it is. Now, if it's a
sure,
fawn, we're going to talk about after that, we're letting the fawns go.
sure.
So she had a doe and a fawn come by, and she took the doe. Let the fawn go, and then he went out and she wanted to shoot a buck, and she didn't get another shot. But hey, that your first deer,
Oh yeah.
shoot it. The first opportunity. If you haven't ever shot a deer before, the first one that comes by that you can get a shot at and make a good killing kill, take it.
Absolutely. So funny story. I guess it was 3 years ago. My sister, it wasn't her first time she's hunted, but I guess it probably was the first time I ever hunted with her. And I took her out on one of these places that I had access to it that year. And it was during rifle season. And we were on the fence whether or not we were going to go out. It was, I mean, for me, I was like, this is best conditions. This is where big deer are killed. It's raining and just drizzling and just nasty and overcast and cold. And I was like, this is a good time to be in the woods, especially inside of a fiberglass blind, that way we could stay warm and stay
Right.
out of the elements. And she ended up shooting, it would have been over 150-inch 10-point. It was all broken up. So some of those, extra time that didn't count. So it was still an upper 40 deer. She'd never killed a deer before in her life. And I'm like, she spotted it before I spotted it because I was looking at her. She's like, Bubba, there's a big deer, I think it's a big buck. I was like, shoot that damn thing, like, hurry up. I was like, I told her, I said, you better be lucky that I wouldn't have done it. I would have let her shoot it anyways, but I always teased her. I said, thankfully I shot my deer first because I probably would have yanked that gun off your hand and shot it myself. But no, I mean, I would never have done that, but it was just a running joke that we have. And she still has shot the biggest one in the family group up to this date. And it's just funny. We still joke about it to this day. So
And it's cool that you got to see her do it.
yeah, it was really cool. And then the next day we went out there and I was able to take a lot of professional photos for her. And naturally, and at that point I filmed just about everyone else's hunts, and it was nasty, and we were last minute deciding whether or not we were going to go. So of course I didn't pack the camera with me that night. And so we didn't get that one on camera, but I made up for it and we got some really cool photos the next day for her to have memories of. But it's just how it goes. It never fails. You go in the woods and you don't pack that camera in for some reason, and that's always the time that it happens. It never fails. So it's better to have it and not use it than
Yeah.
not have it. So
Yeah, that's always the philosophy that a lot of use on a lot of other items as well. It's like better to have it, not need it, than to need it, not have it.
That's right. That's right. And then
Yes.
sometimes I'm superstitious. I'm like, well, it hasn't happened yet, so I'm going to change things up and I'm going to leave it behind and hoping that it will happen, and then it does happen, of course. So, but yeah, it's all fun. It's always just trying to have fun. It's all there's to it. If you're not having fun in the outdoors, and you don't need to be in the outdoors.
Yeah, you always got to carry stuff. My backpack has got so much stuff in it.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't have to carry all that, because I'm not that far away from the vehicle. So I could always go back and get it, pick it up. But like, I just like have it all with me. I get extra gloves, flashlights, knives, ropes, extra gloves, hats, all kinds of stuff that I'll have with me that, don't need. And, binoculars and rangefinder now that I have a rangefinder. I got one last year, and I only used it first time last year when I went out rifle, because when I was coming through, I couldn't set up a tree stand, and they're coming through too early in the morning. So I wanted to set up further away so that I could, hopefully they'd come out and be in the field when if I got light enough to shoot. And I want to know, the range, because, rifle setup, I know the ranges. And I was like, okay, that's good range. Put crossfire on it, go. Nothing came by. Other than when I was first getting off the four-wheeler to go there, two deer come by. My son shot one. He only come running past me, and I was like, I didn't got my gun out of the case yet.
Yeah, it's how it goes, man. It's always be prepared. Scout motto. Always be prepared.
Yeah, I couldn't get any closer to being prepared than where I was at, because I just stopped the four-wheeler, got a thing off, got my gun out. I hadn't had a chance to load it yet.
It's how it always happens. It's
Yeah.
it's humorous, but I can tell you one thing, that doesn't ever happen if you are on the couch and not going out and trying. So
Oh, true. I had one time I was kind of late getting to the tree stand, so I'm got the tree stand. I got my bow hooked to the rope. I climb up, get all strapped in, pull my bow up, and then I always take my quiver off, and I got a little receiver. I can take my quiver off and fasten it to the tree. And it's like, okay, I got my arrow, and it's like, here comes this buck, and it's like, oh, that's a buck. So I hurried up and got there, and I drew back and shot, and I didn't realize how big it was until I got back to the store. At the time when I owned a sporting goods store, and I'm sitting in the range, and I'm looking out there, and I can see the rack sticking up above the back of the truck. I'm sitting down lower than bed. It's like, that is the big one. I never even realized. I didn't even pay attention to it, because I focused on where I wanted that arrow to go, and I seen it was a buck, and after that, I never even seen the rack. Until we're hauling it out. Of course, we got hands on it, pulling it out, but still, it wasn't until later that I said, oh, that is a big one. I was focused on one thing, where my arrow needed to go.
yeah,
And I focused on my shot, and, made my shot, and, it didn't run too far. And
that's all. That's the most important thing. Just follow through those steps for sure. So you mentioned that you attach your quiver to the tree. You're not using the outright product, are you? Or it's a quick detach?
I have the PSE quiver.
Okay, a PC
And I have
quiver.
an extra receiver that you normally mount onto your bow. I have an extra of those. And then I forget who it is makes a thing. You can screw a receiver onto it for your quiver, and then a little bolt that you can screw it to your tree. And I just flip that cam, pull it off the bow, stick it on the tree. And
Yeah, so outright products or outright tree products, they actually have I want to say it's 5/16. Basically, you know how the quick detach happens and takes place on like an impact or drill. You can push it forward and it locks kind of like
oh
around
yeah,
that chuck. You attach those to, a 5/16 bit, and then you can actually just drill them into the tree. So you preset all these quick detach anchors, and then
Oh,
you
yeah.
can actually take, and it just locks in just like how a drill locks and unlocks, and you can put your bow arm there, and you can also lock, you can mount one of those to your quiver, and so you could just use a quick detach to be able to take it on and off. I use those, still use them. It's a really cool product. Great archery product.
So outright hunting products.
Outright hunting products. And they'll come with a whole kit in a pack, but if you buy into the whole pack, you can buy more of those little anchors that you can just screw and preset all stuff in your tree. So then you can just take your
Yeah,
bow hanger with you.
I shared my screen.
Yep.
That's them.
Yeah.
It's
actually,
outrighthunt.com.
Yep. And if you go down, scroll down, I want to say, see, I did that video for them right there.
This video here.
Yeah, I did that for them several years ago.
The More
kind of
Pro
illustrates.
bow hanger system by Outright Hunting Products.
Yep.
And I put one of these in every one of my trees in my tree stands because I like to hang my bow on it, because I don't want to hold it all the time, or if I'm doing something, I can hang it up and don't have to worry about it dropping.
So this one, you put those anchors in, and then you take that hanger and you just keep it in your pack with you, and you can take it and just connect it whenever you're on the go. So
that's way, pretty cool.
Yeah, that way you always know whether or not, especially if you're traveling, you can set all those things up, and you see the little silver portion is the anchor system. Right. And it comes with a little chuck, but if you were there like during the summer, you can preset them with an impact and just go ahead and put them in place. But those little adapters right there allow you to hook you can mount their quiver adapter right to it, and it'll lock it right into the tree. You can hook little camera arms on it to be able to run a GoPro if you want it to. Yeah. There's a lot of little different adapters. Like, you can see there all the little different accessories that you can add. So that's the whole kit right there. Cool little system. Yeah, it looks like it. Really is convenient. And it all folds up in that little bag, and you can just stick it in your backpack and always have one with you. Oh yeah, you can see the looks like a lag bolt with a washer on the end of it. Yeah, it's like a lag bolt, and I want to go see if maybe we can see if they show, like, maybe I think that little button right there, shop outright products. Yeah, you should be able to buy those screws by themselves. So click on that right there, little button, and then it's taking a while for it to. Oh yeah, to load. Okay, so you kind of get an idea right there on that one, where you can see where it's connecting to that basically it's a chuck, and you slide it back and it disengages, and whenever you push it down on it, it's spring loaded, so it automatically locks in, just like a quick detach works. It's the exact same technology, but on the like your air hose. Yeah, yep. So it's pretty slick. And I guess maybe I'm trying to see if there should be a pack where you can buy. I haven't been on their website in a while, so let's see if there's so all at the top right, there's a button that says shop. Yeah, we'll click on that one. See if we can find, when we find cool products, that's the time to start looking at them. Okay, so now look at over here. See all the way to the left. Now there's don't hover over, but you can see almost how that head is. It's designed just like any sort of like driver head. There should be like a 6-pack or a 3-pack. We scroll down and you can see that you can buy extra one of those. Or you can even look right there. Yep, that's the same thing right there. So that's what that is. And then an oversized fender washer that's welded to it. So then that way you can really suck it down, especially if you're presetting stuff, over the summer. You can have all those things just set up. I mean, there was like 4 or 5 of them I would set up in a tree, so that way I could just hook all other stuff, all sorts of stuff up to them.
Oh, here we go.
Yep. So the ones in the middle, the bolt 3-pack are ones like if you wanted to go through and mount them inside of like a hunting blind, you can drill all the way through and then silicone the threads and then tighten that bolt down, and then you could have adapters inside of your blind to attach to. And then obviously you got the ones that are coarse threaded to go into wood, and trees and stuff like that. I've used them a lot of times to set trail cameras up and use that camera mount. And what else have I used? I've used an ozonics on them before.
Oh
and
yeah.
Set it up as a quick detach that way. Way more convenient than having to, try to do the traditional screw in sort of thing from ozonics. So I've used them in a lot of different applications. It's a great little product.
Yeah, it looks like it. Because it's the same, for those that can't see it. If you take a regular impact bit, you see a lot of their bits will have the hex sight on it and be a little space in the middle and continues where it locks into the impact drivers, and that's what the head of this looks like. So you just use your impact and it just snaps right in.
Yeah, it's great, and I believe it's a 5/16 bit that you would use if you were using an impact or just a drill. But there's so many different uses you can use these things for. Like I said, they're great. And they even the bolt ones, depending on how you're wanting to set your cameras up, which I don't normally put my camera on a feeder itself. Obviously I can't do that here, but like in Louisiana where we have stuff, I usually have the camera away facing the feeders. But
Right.
if you were to want to use those bolts and use one of the camera arms, you could fasten a solar panel to it to run your spin cast feeder too. So there's a lot of different uses other than what it's just originally used for. So having the Morph Pro camera mount though allows you to be able to mount, like I was able to thread with that thread on top instead of putting it on a trail camera or putting on a GoPro, which I used for both of them. I used it on my Ozonics unit, and so that adapter worked out perfectly, and I was able to just be able to adjust and modify the actually kind of combine it with the Ozonics adapter to be able to make it work. So it worked great.
Yeah, there's so many new products out there that I can't keep up with them. So it's kind of nice getting someone like you on that's tried some of these out, because I'd see this like, okay, is that a gimmick or does it work? And now
Yeah.
those that are thinking about it, we know it works because you're guesstimate that how well that they're able to work.
And I've used them. I want to say this is about 5 years now, 5-6 years that I've used my exact same kit. So I use the exact same one. So it's held up that long. So I've had it for a while, and I like how it just rolls and folds right up, kind of like a knife kit. If you ever seen one of those, and it just goes, and I can slide it right in my backpack. And that starter kit right there, I guess it comes with everything besides your camera mount. So that would be the only other thing you'd have to get.
Yeah, camera mount's like only $18 for that. So
Yep.
For everything you're getting, that's quite a bit in that. I gotta make sure I don't hover over the mouse because it kind of goes away. I get close to it. But $130 for all those. Like, looks like you've got, well, not really steps, but hangers. They hang accessories, like 3 different accessories on there. You can set them out, your bow hanger, or your quiver hanger. Not sure what this thing is over on the right hand side is, but some other
all in the
mounts.
right hand, the right hand side,
Yeah,
uh,
the little
the
spring thing
little
right over
hook,
in here.
the little hook.
Yeah.
You can put that behind. You can mount it right in between the silver fender washer and the actual portion that you connect it to the the actual arm, and then
Oh yeah.
that locks it in, and then you can use it as a hook to hang a bag from. Um, and then that's the same thing for like the one all the way to the bottom left on that kit. You can do the same thing there, and you can
Yeah.
actually strap the one on the I think they sell it by itself if you scroll down again. Yeah, see how the more pro strap mount hanger. So you can strap that one and instead of actually just screw it into the tree, if you had
Oh yeah.
something extra heavy, and then you could then just use the arm and all the quick detach stuff to tie into that kit itself, or that part of the kit.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty cool little system there. And once you start describing it, it's got that wash. You just take the threaded part of the screw part and stick it through there, and then fastens it to your tree. And they look
Yep,
like they're
it's
fairly long. So as long as you don't have any of the trees with, that great big 1.5 inch thick bark.
yep. And the nice thing about it too is that once you lock that little yellow or an orange chuck on there, you can grab it and basically just slam it into the tree, uh, and it really sticks that way. And then you can start ratcheting it and putting in just to get it started. Then you can finish tightening it by connecting the arm to it to get a lot more leverage to tighten it quicker. But I can't tell you how many times I've tried to hold on to a bow hanger and do that and jab it, and there's little bitty hooks that are on the underside of it that are used to hang your quiver from. I think it's a real tree one, and those little things like buried into my finger, and
Yeah.
it's just hard because you're having to try to stab it like a knife that way, where this way you can literally just almost hit it with your ball of your fist, and it just jabs it in there really well. And then you use that chuck to tighten it, a few times around to get it started, to make sure that you're not, wobbling out your hole, and then
Yeah.
finish it with the hanger. So it's pretty quick. But yeah, it's a great product. So one that I really enjoy using. I obviously I can't do that for what I'm doing here. So every single set that I have set up has the exact same things in the exact same areas to make sure that everyone's covered. They don't have to worry about bringing anything like that out and setting that stuff up. But for
Right.
me, if I was hunting and making a set, or if I was doing saddle hunting and stuff like that, this is just really convenient because it's really easy to have everything there on the go, and it's all very easy to organize inside of the pack, and you don't lose anything once you roll it all up. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty. I'm glad you mentioned something about that, because that's another cool product that
it's
you
really
can
cool.
check out. Yeah.
It like I said, that kit is perfect for on the go stuff and modifications when you're doing stuff on the fly. But what I really love is in off season, especially if I'm developing a property, is buying a lot of those extra anchors and just going ahead and presetting and drilling in all those things. And that way I have all these different hookups that I can just attach and detach,
Yeah.
and it saves you in the long run if you've been investing in something like this, opposed to, I mean, by the time you buy, depending on how big and where you're getting them and what sort of sale you're getting, if you're spending, 10 or 12 bucks a pop for hangers. So if you got, 20 sets, well, then you've already spent twice as much as what this set costs. So,
Right. And you have, like, here on this picture, you've got the looks like a couple section there. You got your bow and your quiver sitting on there. Your backpack's
yes.
hanging from that little
So
hook
that's a
that was over here in the
great
corner.
example. Yeah, so he used everything there. So you see how you get the little hook that you put on the back by the tree, and then you have your first section. Actually, your first section is your extension right there. So that's your extension
Right.
arm. And then the middle section is the arm with the quick detach that's 90-degree off of the shaft, so that you could put your quiver like that. And then you have the third arm, which is your final arm that actually has the hook. And that's really convenient. I a lot of times I don't need that long of a setup, so I would always just not use the extension, and I would connect the middle section to the tree, and then have the front section with the hook, and just have a two-part section to where there's only 2 swivel points instead of 3. Well, I guess technically
Yeah.
there's still only 2 pivot points, but it's just a longer middle section.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. This looks like here in a little extension. where You can stand out, you can also go off
So
to the
that's
side.
yep, that would be the middle section, and then the extension
That would be
the
this
one that's
section right here.
yep. Yep, that's an extension. Yep. And then see how it does not, the extension does not have a pivot point on it.
Right,
But the one against the tree actually has a pivot point, and it acts as it's like an extended pivot point, the one that's all the way next to the tree.
right.
And then
So
you can always have it shortened to where you just have like a 16-inch hook where it pivots and connects to the tree, and you have a pivot point too if you just wanted a shorter setup. So there's definitely, the ability to modify on the fly depending on your tree is really helpful, with this product for sure.
yeah, it looks like this is the first section, the second section, and the third section. When you look at
Yep.
this over here, this is the first, the second, and third section.
Yep.
So that's a pretty cool little setup, and it's not really that expensive, really, for what you're getting.
No, and then you see right there, there's the quiver mount, so you can actually just tap some little small holes in your quiver and use those those screws and tighten it down on there, and then that allows you to quick detach and attach your quiver to your setup pretty quickly. So, and then if you don't want it on your arm like that, how they had it, you could always just mount it to the tree, just like how
Just like,
it's
yep,
there. Yep. So.
yeah, that's pretty cool. So I have to keep that in mind. And anybody listening or watching, if you've used this, hey, I'd like to hear your stories of, how you're using it. It's always nice to hear other stories on how different people are using the things.
Yeah, it's a great product. I've killed quite a few bucks in the woods when I had that set up, so it was real helpful. So, well, man, I am gonna have to get rolling here before long. I didn't even
Yeah,
realize what time it was, and I'm looking at now we're well over an hour now. So, but
yeah. Well, it seems like,
last time on us too. So,
yeah. Well, it seems like, we plan for an hour, but you know what? I have an extra hour reserved after because they seem to always run long.
oh yeah,
As long as we
absolutely.
don't have something come up we have to get to, then, hey, we can talk. But yeah, it's been great having you on. And, I always learn something every time, I get somebody on talking. And, what you're doing now is really, really pretty cool. What you've got set up down there in Missouri. And, you're not that far away from me up here too. So it's kind of nice. We have kind of the same seasons, here in
Yeah,
Nebraska. Our rut's the second week of November. Our rifle season the second week of November. And I remember when I was at Deer Check Station, one year they moved rifle season out a week. And I couldn't believe how many archers were checking in these big bucks. And then they went back. So now then, they didn't get the big bucks like they had been before. But
sure.
like you down there, that week right before the rut is probably the best time I've had. Like the Friday before rifle season seems to
Oh
be one
yeah.
of the better days for archery. And now the nice thing about now is in Nebraska is archery doesn't stop during rifle season. You can
Oh,
still
good.
go out. They got to wear orange during rifle season, if you dare to go out. Yeah,
Sure.
there's a lot of people out there, and it's still pretty safe, but I still, during rifle season we got to wear orange, yeah,
It's the
which is
same
all
thing
right.
for us too. It's actually kind of strange. We have to, you can wear orange, but during rifle season, the 10-day rifle season, you can bow hunt, but you have to tag it with your rifle tag, even though you harvest it with your bow. I don't understand that one bit, but because it's during rifle season, you have to tag it with your firearms tag, even though you're bow hunting. I,
I was like, if I got to tag it with the rifle tag, I'm not just going to use my rifle.
I there's some really goofy rules out here. Um, but anyways, uh, I got one more person that's asking me they couldn't access it. Uh, anyways, I gotta roll, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'd love to chat another time here, maybe after the season. Maybe we can look at doing like a recap of how we went, how it went.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd like to, after season, get back on and see how it was going, and see what's going on, and after your first season, and what you plan on changing, and what worked well, what didn't work, and some of the success stories, and if we maybe get some of the people that had success stories out there, get them on the podcast as well, talk about their
Yeah,
experiences with that would be a great day, having some of the
yeah,
people
that'd
out
be
there
fun.
that showed up, and offer to those, if they have a successful hunt, after the hunt, hey, let's get them on and talk about their hunt.
Yeah,
That,
no, that's
that
a great idea. So we'll have to definitely try and plan and
yeah,
do that with one or two people.
yeah,
So
yeah, just let them know. It's like, hey, um give them a link to my calendar and book the time in.
sure, sure. Well, that sounds
I'm
great, man.
open. Anybody
Well,
wants to get on, talk about hunting or target, you don't have to be a hunter. You just an archer. Hey,
sure,
we're
sure.
glad to talk archery all day long and for a long time. So that's been great having you on. I'm sure we'll talk again, and um, it's been great. And for those listening to the podcast on Spotify, it's also available on Audible for free. And then, as we kind of alluded to in the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, you get to watch it live. And on my YouTube channel, Learn to Fix It Yourself, I'll actually post the video out there too. So there's a lot of places you can watch and listen to it and comment. You can always get a hold of me. I'm not hard to find. Just Google Arch Talk 101 and you're going to find me.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, man. And we'll keep in touch this fall and schedule a postseason podcast.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, have a
So
great season to you if
yeah,
we don't between now and then. And we'll be talking soon. Have a good rest of your week, buddy.
yeah. Thanks for being on. I really enjoyed it. My name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Arch Talk 101, and we'll see you on the next one.